Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Was that Welcome Back Cotter? I'm dating myself. Not that I've actually ever seen the show, but the fact that I even know what that is. Welcome back to the show, friends. We're chatting events today. So, fun fact, I've hosted a bajillion events. Really, though, my goodness, have I hosted a lot of events. So many years ago, I ran a little business, a little company, a little thing called Fit Trips, which stood for Friendship Inspired Training, and they were women's only fitness-based field trips. Every single month, I would take a bunch of women to different studios, mostly in New York City. This was when this was trending, 2014, 15, 16. And they had all these crazy studios like surfboards on Bosu balls and bikes in the water and trapeze school. And they were just like popping up with all these crazy studios. So I'd rent the place out. We'd do a private class. We'd have brunch. There'd be sponsors, so on and so forth. And it got really big. And we had ambassadors in California and Boston, and we were hosting them in Philadelphia, and then twice a year retreats in Costa Rica. But anyway, I say that to say those 3 or 4 years alone, I hosted almost 50, put together and hosted almost 50 events. And that was just for that cute little side hustle. And then I've had massive events that I've hosted for 250 people live in New York City with tons of speakers and activities and videographers. I've done small retreats. We've done like in-person VIP days for 2 or 3 people. I've just had so much experience putting together events over the years. And gosh, when I was a phys ed teacher, like I was the one who ran the entire field day process, and I would have 100 parent volunteers and stations and oh my goodness. Okay. So anyway, I've got a thing for events, and my team and I have really locked in and nailed down how we run our events. So I thought it would be fun and helpful if I shared a little bit about some of the events that we're running right now and how we do it. So the only in-person events we're running currently are the retreats for the Elite Mastermind. So our Elite Mastermind gals are doing multiple 6 to 7 figures a year in business, and they're focusing on scaling their businesses and their teams and all of that. And with the year-long container virtually, they get 3 in-person retreats. And so basically at any given moment, Lauren and I, who spearhead all of the event stuff, we're planning one of the retreats. Like at any given moment throughout the year, we're locking in and planning what the retreat looks like. So we just wrapped up the March retreat, which was the first retreat of the year for the girls. And it was absolutely like the most fun, the most transformational. And it just went off without a hitch, right? And we've done these now so many times, year after year, we're doing these. Lauren and I have been doing them together for 4 years now. We really have it down to a science where the girls leave and they're saying exactly what we wanted them to say about the retreat. And so how does that happen? And what do I mean by that? It's really easy to put people in a room. It's really easy to rent a room. It's really easy to eat garbage, hotel food that's cooked for dozens and dozens of people. It's really easy to call all your friends in and ask them to speak at an event. But what really makes a great event great, I believe, is a lot of different things. So I think it has to have intention behind it. You can just feel it's different when you walk in a room and there was intention behind the people who are creating the feeling of it. Are they intentionally thinking about how you're going to be feeling the day after travel? Have they thought about the lighting in the room? Have they thought about the seats you're sitting in? Have they thought about snack breaks or just breaks to stand up and shake your legs out? Have they thought about who's actually going to be in the room, right? When we think about hosting the retreat for the girls, we ask that they can take the 3 days off from work and be as present as possible. But we also know they're running businesses that have teams. So it's not just them making sure they move coaching calls. It's their teams might need them. They have to put fires out. Things come up. There might be meetings that they can't change. So when we're planning the retreats out, we're thinking about all this stuff. And so with anything, it's starting with the end in mind. It's reverse engineering. So when Lauren and I sit down and we talk about, let's say, a retreat, we say, what is the theme of this retreat? What's the feeling that we want the girls to have? Not what's the takeaway, not what's going to be the lesson or the training. That's not where it starts. It starts with what's the theme. So for this particular retreat that we just ran in March, the theme of it was In My Business's Fun Era. And the reason that we came up with that is because when we kicked the mastermind off at the beginning of the year, we kept hearing all the girls said the same thing. Their goals this year were, yes, to scale their team and scale their revenue, but it was all about while having more fun. I want to have more fun in my business. I've been so in it, I'm barely on it. I want to have more fun. I've created almost a trap or a cage for myself. And while I'm making a ton of money and the business is working really, really well, I feel like without me, I'm stuck, or I feel like I'm stuck inside of the thing that I've created. And I'm not even sure that I want to be doing this anymore. I've evolved and I feel trapped, right? I want more fun in my business. And so we heard them very loudly in January and we told each other, we said, let's make that the theme for our March retreat. And then anything that we were planning had to fit into that, almost like a core value. It had to fit into, does this make business more fun? Does this align with them making their business more fun? Does this enhance creativity? Does this enhance motivation, inspiration, and aspiration, which some of them maybe feel like they're missing because things have felt dry for them? So once we figure out the theme and the feeling, we'll then likely figure out the location. For us, because we do 3 retreats throughout the year, we do think about the location first, sometimes just because of the weather. And we know that we're going to be meeting with the gals 3 different times. And so we want to think about that. And then we also think about where are we going to currently be, especially because historically, up until just recently, Mike and I moved a lot. We were bi-coastal the last couple of years. So we do want to make it easy for us. We want to make it easy for the girls, but making it easy for us also makes it easy for them, and because we can give them the best experience. So things to consider, like if we're going to be on the East Coast, maybe we don't want to have it on the West Coast and then vice versa, right? So we think about the location. Now, intentionality. We don't just pick a location that we want to go to or that's easy for us. And I think this is huge. And I know that our girls feel this. I know that they see this, and they have told us before that they recognize this. When we pick a location, Lauren and I check flights. We look from all the different major cities that we know our girls are living in to see if flights are, number 1, available. Number 2, are they direct? And then number 3, what's the price point like? If it's absolutely bonkers, even though it might be a really cool location, we're not going to pick it. We also consider, are there major airports? Is it regional? Are they going to have to rent cars? We don't want to have them renting cars. We don't want to have them taking 2 flights to get somewhere where, number 1, it's annoying. Number 2, it's stressful. Number 3, if you get delayed or something happens, then you could potentially miss a connecting flight. And that just sucks. Like, that's not the vibe of in my business is fun era. Taking time to get there. These people are taking time away from their life and their business and their family. And so we want to make it as easy and smooth as possible. So we take all that into consideration. In fact, last year or 2 years ago, we were hosting a retreat in Arizona, and we initially were going to host it in Scottsdale. And when we told the girls that, they said, well, can we do it in Sedona? And so I said, we absolutely can do it in Sedona, but this is what that means for you. You will fly into Phoenix. You're all going to have to rent cars, which means it would be best if you all land around the same times on the same days-ish, or wait for each other, carpool up, and then you're going to have to drive. It's about an hour and 45 minutes. It's not a drive you're going to want to do in the dark if you've never done it before. It's super windy mountain roads and there's not great lights up there. And it's like 75 miles an hour speed limit. It's kind of scary. But this is what you have to consider. Like, are you okay with renting cars, driving 2 hours both ways, and then flying? And they cumulatively, that's not the word, they unanimously, they all voted and said, yes, I would rather go to Sedona. I've never been there before. It looks amazing. It's okay. We're willing to do the drive. But we're not going to just pick a place that's the barrier to entry without bringing it up to them first. So when picking a location, something to think about for you, whether you're hosting a retreat or like a big event, what's the weather going to be like? What are flights like? Is it hurricane season? Is it during vacation time? Is it, are the kids going to be off from school that week? Do you have people in your community or in your container that have children? Is it summer vacation? Like, really thinking about that stuff. And then after the location, we're obviously also locking in the dates. That's kind of going hand in hand. And then we think about, where are they going to stay? Is it going to be a hotel? Are we getting a block? Is it going to be an Airbnb? The way that we run our retreats, I really love being in an Airbnb. So we rent what we call an event house, and that's where the actual event is held. And then we have the gals stay in other homes, or if there's hotels close by. But what we do, again, barrier to entry, we'll come up with a list of 10 different Airbnbs that are usually walkable to the event house or in like a really great area. And then we give them the list and say, obviously you could stay wherever you want, but here's a really great list of options. With that, we'll also say, here are some really great like restaurants nearby. Here's some really great juice shops nearby. Here's some really great stores nearby. So if any of them are tacking time on or need time in between, there's things to do, right? And then once we have like the theme and the feeling and the vibe, and we get the location and the travel and the flights and all that type of stuff figured out, then we're locking in the event space. And because we like to host our retreats at Airbnbs, we're looking for a lot of light in the room. Even if I was doing it in like a hotel conference room, there's got to be a lot of windows. I prefer indoor, outdoor living. I want the girls to be able to pop in and out all day. There's got to be enough seating. One of the reasons I love Airbnbs over like official, convention hall type things is I don't want to be in a boardroom like chair all day, like a wedding chair. I want the girls to be on couches. They're on poofs on the floor. We turn the fireplace on. It's a mood. There's a vibe. It's just really comfy. One of the things we're always looking for is bathrooms. So are there multiple bathrooms? The house that we just had in March had 5 bathrooms on the main floor and then another bathroom upstairs. Like that's what I want because we're going to have all the gals plus the videographer plus the chef plus the guest speakers plus the team and I. It's a lot of people, right? So we're looking for good lighting, high ceilings, tons of seating, comfy seating, tons of bathrooms. Because we host it in an Airbnb, is the kitchen on top of the main living room or is it spread out a little bit? Is there a wall? Is there a corner where the kitchen's kind of tucked away? Because when we host them in Airbnbs, historically we have a private chef. And so the chef is cooking while a lot of the trainings are going on or the guest speakers going on. So we just think about things like that. The noise pollution, is it on a main road? Is it walkable to other things? We love having water nearby. So if there is ability for a pool, whether we're hosting it at an Airbnb or like a conference room or something, is there fountains, water, something to bring that element in? Not that we're necessarily all going to be going swimming, but again, it's just a feeling, right? And then once all that stuff is locked in, we also then start to figure out the food. Are we eating out for anything, eating in? What time is the food going to be? When do they need breaks? Do we have enough snacks out and available at all times? We always make sure the coffee bar is stocked at all times and people are helping make coffee. We have hot coffee, cold coffee. Like we're really just thinking about everything soup to nuts. And I usually come from the lens of like, what would I want? What would be really great for me? A lot of times the stuff that would be really great for you, it's not the things that you're thinking about asking for. Like if you go to an event, it's not something that you're thinking about necessarily asking for, but it's the stuff where if it was there, you'd be like, damn, nice touch. Like, yeah, sparkling water and like 14 flavors. Like, heck yes. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of stuff. Like, oh, sweet. Like they just put snacks out in between and I didn't even ask for them. Or like, wow, they have gluten-free and vegan and keto options. Like it's that type of stuff that you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I wouldn't have asked for that. But because it's here now, that made my life and experience better. Then, of course, we're thinking about the activities. So we always want to do on-site and off-site activities. On-site activities would be in the event house, whether that's like different workshops, hands-on things. It's going to be different activities. We've literally done field day at the house before, like by the pool. We've done field day games where they had to like have teams and make their own shirts. We've done business Jeopardy games, like fun things as well, but then off-site activities. So we've done helicopter rides, boat tours, hikes, private dance classes, escape rooms. Like, are you going to do anything offsite? What does that look like? And again, how does that kind of tie into the theme of what it is you're doing? And then from there, we move into like the different speakers and the different trainings that we're going to host. The team and I, obviously, during retreats are hosting our trainings. What is pertinent to where they are in their business right now, especially because a year-long mastermind, like I know in Q1, they're all likely working on certain things. In Q4, they're working on different things. So this is going to come not just from assumption, but communication, conversations, the coaching calls that we're having virtually leading up to the retreat. Now it's like, okay, this would be best inserted here. And when it comes to the speakers, we really try to not overload. It's really easy to overload. We've done this before. I've made this mistake. You bring in like all of your best people, all your friends, you have 2 speakers a day, 3 speakers a day, and they're just like fried by the end of it. So we really don't ever go over 1 speaker a day. And we love the speaker to obviously be a part of the theme in some capacity. So we also try to blend some of the more like personal development, spiritual mindset type stuff with then more of like the tactical masculine type stuff and bringing in other fun things as well that are things that they're not even thinking about in their business yet. They might not even be there yet, right? But we want the conversations to be expansive. And then with our speakers, we're also doing one of 2 things. We either have people come in where they're doing like a full-on presentation and Q&A at the end, where it's like a training, or we do more fireside chat style where I sit with the person the speaker, and I do like more of like a round robin interview type of style where the gals, again, still can ask questions, but we really want like a blend of that. And so we have both like really interactive, really training, really hands-on, and then really more like expansive conversations. And then the last couple things are, are we giving them any gifts throughout the weekend? What does that look like? Are we going to have any sponsored items throughout the weekend? What does that look like? Making sure that we're getting all that stuff locked in advance, especially sponsored items. If you are reaching out to companies, whether it's for items or for financial sponsors, they already have things in their budget quarters ahead. So they know their budget and planning quarters ahead, if not a whole year ahead. So you want to reach out in a very timely fashion, make sure you're giving yourself and your business enough space. And the fortune's in the follow-up, especially when you're talking about like free product and stuff. You're going to want to email them. You're going to want to follow up with them. You're likely going to want to shoot a DM over on Instagram as well, without being annoying, but just continuing that follow-up. Especially a lot of times companies will say yes, and then they kind of forget about it, right? And it's nothing to do with you. Don't make meaning out of it. They're just busy doing other things, and they likely have much bigger orders to fill than sending you 10 free products, right? And then the last part of this, which I made this mistake for many, 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 many years, I made this mistake with launches too. What are the team and I doing to decompress after? Instead of getting to the end of the event, end of the retreat, end of the thing that you're hosting, and then feeling frazzled and being annoyed that you have a full day of calls the next day, be proactive, not reactive. Oh my gosh, I made this mistake so many times, like years of hosting events and launching, where it would get to the next day and I'd have like a full plate. I'd have a full plate. I'd be traveling that day and I'd jump right back into calls or meetings the next day. And now we know better. So as we're planning all the events and retreats, we're taking into consideration all of the team members and how we're all going to need a little bit of time and space. Number one, to travel. Number two, to decompress. And number three, just to get life back in order. So one of the things that we do now when we're hosting a retreat or an event, the team members and I actually stay back. We always stay in the house for a full extra day together. And that's both to kind of like decompress, but also to debrief. And we'll kind of talk about the event and like what went well and what didn't, and what do we want to do for the next time? And is there anything else that we want to do while we're in person together? Because we work virtually. So is there anything else that we want to hammer out for maybe nothing to do with events, but the next quarter that we're working on? Just to spend that time together, go out to dinner, enjoy each other's company. And then the next day is generally travel. And so it's like, okay, we're obviously not going to pack the schedule full of meetings and calls. And then the following day, now I know it seems crazy to have like 3-day buffer, but the following day is usually like, let's just get back into the flow, back into admin. I know for me, especially like actually the flight that we took home from Scottsdale back in March, it just kind of was crazy. They got delayed a bunch of times because of storms. Long story short, we ended up getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning. And like, if I had a call on the calendar at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, even 2 o'clock, I'd probably be annoyed. Like, I don't want that, right? I want to be able to, I'm 40. I want to be able to sleep late, whatever that is, 7 o'clock for me, get my workout in, make sure the groceries, like we were gone for a week. Like I got to go to the grocery store or order Whole Foods delivery, make sure that we have food in the house, like get the dog from the dog sitter. So I will usually have that next day also be open. And yeah, sometimes it's like I pre-book a massage, or I'll pre-book like a yoga class or chiropractic visit, or maybe I want to go get my nails done. Maybe I'll pre-book something with a girlfriend to go get coffee and just debrief or like hang out as friends, or I'll just have nothing on the calendar. But giving myself those days after has been so powerful, because the other thing too, and I know for me, I'm 150% empath. I'm a projector. I take on energy and I hold it. And oh my goodness, whether it's quote unquote good energy or quote unquote bad energy, I take it on. And that's a lot, right? And so a lot of times at the end of these events or retreats, it's so much love, so much gratitude, so many breakthroughs, so many aha moments, like getting poured back into us. So much like, just thank you. This was incredible. All the things that are coming up throughout the weekend, the crying, the breakthroughs, the stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety, like the love for each other, the connection. It's a lot to hold. And so I need a good day or two to just sort of like emotionally release all of that, right? And like shower it off, for lack of a better term. Like it's not mine, whether it's quote unquote good or bad. Like I need to just kind of move that and remove myself from it. Otherwise, I will keep it, I will hold it. And then that really messes with me. It messes with my sleep. It messes with my energy. It messes with the business. So going into it, it's really about intention and like, how do you want these people to feel? And what's the type of stuff, little things that are going to like blow their minds. And I'll give you a perfect example here. Actually, I'm going to shout out my dear friends, the Harders, Chris and Lori. My goodness, do they know how to put on an event? Always. They're so fantastic at putting on events. And the reason that they're so great at putting on events is because they've thought of the things that you don't think of. And we were at an event with them in January in Scottsdale, and it rained, which, like, hello, it does not rain in Arizona, definitely not in January. And their team, while we were in the middle of like a work session during the day, their team knew rain might be happening later. It wasn't raining yet. They went out and bought umbrellas for every single person that was there just to have them in case it did rain. And then it did rain, and they gave everybody the umbrellas, and you got to keep them and you could take them home with you. And they weren't just like chintzy $7 umbrellas from CVS. Like, they were really nice umbrellas. That's the type of thing where it's like being proactive, being intentional, planning ahead, thinking about the experience that the person's going to have, because that's what really takes an event experience from good to great. It's the things that you don't necessarily ask for that are like, gosh, that was nice. Like, I never would have been like, hey, it's raining. Do you guys have an umbrella? But when they said, hey, it might rain later, take an umbrella, everyone in the room was like, whoa, thank you. Right. So it's that type of stuff. So shout out to them because they always do such a fabulous job. But it's really thinking like that. And then, yeah, getting into like the budget and all this stuff, right? But it all starts with the feeling, the theme, the emotion. What do you want people to feel? And then you can plug in, okay, what are you going to teach them? What are they going to learn? That type of stuff. So I hope this was helpful. We love putting on events, but you can do this virtually as well, right? Like, again, how do you want people to feel when they come into your virtual room? What are they going to experience? How can you take it to the next level? Is there something where people could connect offline after this virtual experience that you're hosting together? Is there a workbook page or something that you can have for them to visually go through this experience with you for the person who's a different type of learner? Are there going to be reminder emails? Are there text messages? Can they add it directly to their calendar? Is it manual? Like, think about the experience, soup to nuts, end to end. And I promise you, this will get you, better testimonials, but more importantly, more referrals, more word of mouth, more people saying, I don't even know what it is. It's just, they're so good at hosting events. They're so good at putting on masterclasses and webinars. I just love going. It makes me feel so good. Right? Okay. Hope that was helpful. That's all I got for you today. If you're interested in coming to one of our events, in one of our retreats, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Just say the word retreat and let's have a conversation about it, because our next retreat that we're hosting is in July. And while it is a part of our elite mastermind, we sometimes let one or two people come and sit in, is what we call it. So if you're the right person and you're at that level of business where you already have a business, you're already making money, maybe you already have like a VA, you have the proof, but you're looking for just a little bit more, you want to scale that, maybe step back from your business a little bit so you're not always in it, but you can be on it. And you're a woman in the online coaching and service provider space, shoot me a DM, say the word retreat, and let's chat about it. Because maybe you're the perfect fit to come dip your toe in and meet with us in July. I'm not going to tell you where it is yet, but it's a good one. It is on the East Coast. And oh man, it is going to be so good. So if you want to be a part of that, shoot me the word retreat. Let's have a conversation about it. And if not, hopefully you can take something from this episode back to even stuff that you're doing virtually. Thanks so much. See you on the next one. Cheers to evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.